Have you ever dragged heavy, leaking bags of fresh grass clippings to the curb after a long day of mowing, feeling like your weekends are just an endless cycle of exhausting yard work? What if I told you that you are literally throwing away bags of pure, high-grade fertilizer that could triple your vegetable harvest this year? Welcome to the ultimate secret of lazy gardening. Today, we are talking about mowed grass, the green gold of your homestead. But beware, because while grass can create miracles in your garden, doing it wrong will absolutely destroy your beloved plants overnight. Stick with me until the very end, because I am going to reveal a controversial mulching secret that contradicts everything you have read on old garden forums. Let us dive in. Before we start spreading grass everywhere, we need to understand what this green material actually is from a biological standpoint. When you cut your lawn, you are harvesting a plant that is packed with nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. It is exactly the same stuff you pay top dollar for at the garden center, but nature provides it to you for free. Think of fresh grass clippings as a highly concentrated energy drink for your garden. However, fresh grass is also composed of up to 80% water. This combination of high moisture and high nitrogen makes it incredibly active. In the wild, when grass dies back, it slowly returns these nutrients to the earth over months. But when we chop it up into millions of tiny pieces with a mower, we accelerate that decomposition process 1,000 times over. It is this rapid breakdown that holds both the magic power to feed your vegetables and the destructive power to burn them to a crisp. Let us start with the very first and most devastating mistake that almost every beginner makes. You finish mowing the lawn, you empty the catcher bag, and you immediately dump a massive, thick layer of fresh, wet green grass right around your tomato plants. This is a recipe for an absolute disaster. When you pile fresh clippings more than 2 inches thick, you create a dense, airtight mat. Because the grass is full of water and nitrogen, it immediately starts to heat up, just like a compost pile. This process robs the surrounding soil of oxygen and can literally cook the tender roots of your vegetables. Furthermore, without oxygen, the grass undergoes anaerobic decomposition. This is what causes that horrible, sour, rotting smell that resembles a swamp. This toxic slime will invite disease, mold, and rot right to the stem of your precious plants. Never use a thick layer of fresh clippings. So, how do we avoid this slimy nightmare and harness the power of the grass correctly? The smart gardener's approach is to let the sun do the hard work for you. After you mow, leave the clippings spread thinly out on the lawn for a day or two, or spread them out on a driveway or a tarp. You want to let them dry out until they lose that bright green color and start turning into a light, fluffy, brownish hay. This simple step of removing the excess moisture completely eliminates the risk of rot and terrible odors. Once the grass is dry, it becomes the absolute perfect organic mulch. It is light. It breathes. It allows water to pass through to the soil, and it will not stick together in heavy, suffocating clumps. Taking just 48 hours to dry your green gold will change your gardening experience forever and protect your vegetables from suffocating. The second massive mistake involves a silent killer that you might not even realize is hiding in your lawn. I am talking about chemical herbicides and weed killers. Many homeowners use broadleaf weed killers on their lawns to keep the turf looking pristine. If you spray your lawn with these chemicals, the active ingredients remain inside the grass blades for weeks and sometimes even months. If you take those treated clippings and mulch your vegetable garden, you are directly applying weed killer to your tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers. Your vegetables are broadleaf plants. Just like the dandelions you are trying to destroy on the lawn, they will twist, curl, stop growing, and eventually die. If you use chemicals on your lawn, those clippings must go to the trash. Only use organic, untreated grass in your food garden to keep your family and your plants completely safe. Now, let us talk about the miracle of nitrogen and how your plants actually consume it. When you apply clean, dried grass clippings to the surface of your soil, you're not just covering the dirt. You're setting up a slow-release feeding station. Every time it rains or every time you turn on your drip irrigation, water trickles down through the layer of grass. As the water passes through, it brews a weak, nutrient-rich tea that washes directly down into the root zone of your plants. This gives your vegetables a steady, gentle dose of nitrogen every single day, exactly when they need it most for growing strong stems and lush leaves. This is so much better than dumping chemical fertilizers that wash away in a week. With grass mulch, the feeding is continuous, gentle, and perfectly balanced by nature. The third mistake is a mechanical error that causes immense heartbreak for fruit tree owners and berry bush growers. It is called the volcano effect. People love to take grass clippings and pile them high, right up against the bark of their apple trees, cherry trees, or raspberry bushes, making it look like a green volcano. This is incredibly dangerous. The bark of a tree is designed to be dry and exposed to the air. When you trap wet or even dry grass against the trunk, you create a dark, humid environment that softens the bark. This invites fungal infections, crown rot, and gives destructive pests like rodents and borers perfect hiding place to chew through the trunk. The tree will slowly decline and die, and you might not realize why until it is far too late to save it. Instead of building a volcano of death, you need to use the donut method when applying grass clippings around your fruit trees and bushes. Imagine a large donut placed on the ground. Leave a gap of at least 6 inches of bare dirt immediately around the trunk of the tree. Then start spreading your dried grass clippings in a wide circle moving outward, extending all the way to the drip line, which is where the outermost branches end. The tree's feeding roots are actually located far out from the trunk, right under that drip line. By placing the grass there, you are delivering the nutrients and moisture exactly where the tree can absorb them, while keeping the critical trunk area completely dry and safe from rot and chewing rodents. This is lazy gardening, done with precision. Here is another fascinating way that grass clippings save you from backbreaking labor. We all hate weeding under the scorching summer sun. It is the worst part of gardening. But when you apply a 3 to 4 inch layer of dried grass clippings over your vegetable beds, you are deploying a physical shield against weeds. Weed seeds need sunlight to germinate and push through the soil. The dense interlocking structure of dried grass clippings completely blocks the sun from reaching the bare earth. Those thousands of weed seeds lying dormant in your soil simply remain asleep. The few stubborn weeds that do manage to sprout through the mulch will be weak, spindly, and incredibly easy to pull out with just 2 fingers. You will reclaim your weekends and never spend hours on your knees pulling weeds again. However, this brings us to mistake number 4, which is importing the enemy directly into your garden. You must pay close attention to the state of your lawn before you mow. If you have waited too long to mow and your lawn is full of dandelions that have gone to seed, or grass that has developed those tall seed heads, you need to be very careful. If you collect those clippings and put them in your vegetable garden, you are essentially planting thousands of new weeds right next to your tomatoes. You are doing the exact opposite of weed control. If your lawn is heavily seeded, it is better to compost those clippings first. The intense heat of a properly managed compost pile will cook and destroy the weed seeds, making the organic matter safe to use later in the season. Let us talk about water, because watering your garden every single day is another chore the lazy gardener wants to avoid. Bare soil bakes in the sun. The top layer dries out, cracks, and moisture evaporates rapidly into the air. This causes massive stress to your plants, leading to blossom end rot in tomatoes and bitter cucumbers. By covering the soil with a thick blanket of dried grass clippings, you create an insulation layer. The soil temperature remains cool and stable, even on the hottest July afternoons. More importantly, this grass blanket stops evaporation. You will find that soil under a layer of grass clippings stays dark, damp, and perfectly moist for days, sometimes even weeks, after a good rain. You will cut your water bill in half, and your plants will never suffer from thirst. Mistake number 5 happens when gardeners decide to throw all their grass clippings into the compost bin at once. You might think that more green material means better compost, but this is a huge error in the carbon to nitrogen ratio. Grass is very high in nitrogen, which is considered a green material in the composting world. If you fill a bin entirely with green grass, it will quickly turn into a putrid, slimy, ammonia-smelling mess that attracts every fly in the neighborhood. It will not break down into rich soil. It will just rot. To compost grass successfully, you must balance it with carbon-rich brown materials. For every bucket of grass clippings you add, you must mix in at least 2 buckets of dry autumn leaves, shredded cardboard, or straw. This balance allows the beneficial bacteria to thrive and create sweet-smelling compost. To truly master composting grass clippings, you should use the lasagna method. Picture building a delicious layered dish. Start with a layer of dry, chunky brown material, like small twigs or dry leaves at the bottom of the bin, to allow air to flow. Then add a thin 2-inch layer of fresh grass clippings. Next, add a thicker layer of brown material like shredded paper. Add a splash of water, and then repeat the process. By layering thin amounts of grass between dry materials, you prevent the grass from matting together. The pile will heat up rapidly, sometimes reaching 140 degrees Fahrenheit within days. This intense heat will break down the materials quickly and give you beautiful, dark, crumbly compost in a matter of weeks, instead of waiting an entire year. One of the most magical things that happens when you start mulching your garden beds with grass clippings is the arrival of nature's tiny plows. I am talking about earthworms. Earthworms absolutely love decomposing organic matter, and grass clippings create the perfect dark, moist, cool environment for them to thrive. Within a few weeks of applying a grass mulch, if you pull back that layer, you will see dozens of worms working near the surface. They come up at night, grab bits of the decomposing grass, and pull it down deep into the soil. As they do this, they dig tiny tunnels that aerate the ground, allowing oxygen to reach the roots of your vegetables. Their waste, known as worm castings, is the most powerful natural fertilizer on the planet. By laying down grass, you are opening a free, all-you-can-eat buffet for earthworms. Mistake number 6 is ignoring the health of the lawn that you are cutting. Grass can suffer from various fungal diseases like rust, powdery mildew, or brown patch. If you look closely at your lawn and see orange dust on your shoes or large dead spots covered in a web like fungus, you have a sick lawn. While the specific fungi that attack grass do not usually infect vegetable plants directly, throwing diseased, moldy clippings onto your garden beds introduces a massive amount of fungal spores into your growing environment. This can alter the delicate balance of the soil microbiome and potentially encourage other types of rot in damp conditions. If your lawn is heavily diseased, do not use those clippings as a surface mulch near your food crops until the lawn is treated and healthy again. Did you know you can make a powerful liquid fertilizer out of your mowed grass without ever putting it directly on the soil? This is called grass tea, and it is a phenomenal trick for a quick nutrient boost. Take a large 5-gallon bucket and fill it about 1/3 of the way with fresh green grass clippings. Fill the rest of the bucket with rainwater or well water, but avoid heavily chlorinated city water if possible. Let this mixture steep in the shade for about 3 to 5 days, stirring it once a day with a large stick. The water will turn a deep, murky green and might smell a little earthy. Strain out the grass pieces, which can now go into the compost, and use this green liquid to water your potted plants, struggling vegetables, or young seedlings. It is a massive shot of pure, instantly absorbable nitrogen. Let us explore how different crops react to grass clippings, because not all vegetables want the exact same treatment. Heavy-feeding, heat-loving plants like tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, and sweet corn will absolutely explode with growth when mulched with grass. They crave the continuous nitrogen and the steady moisture. However, you need to be cautious with root vegetables like carrots, onions, and garlic. These plants prefer slightly looser, less nitrogen-heavy soil. If you give root vegetables too much nitrogen from a thick layer of grass clippings, they will produce massive, beautiful green tops, but very tiny, underdeveloped roots underground. For root crops, use a very thin layer of dried grass just for moisture control, or skip the grass mulch entirely and use clean straw instead. Another brilliant strategy for the lazy gardener is using grass clippings for late autumn bed preparation. When the growing season is over and you have pulled up your old tomato vines, do not leave the soil bare over the winter. Bare soil loses nutrients and gets compacted by harsh rain and snow. Instead, take your final autumn grass clippings, mix them with the fallen leaves from your trees, and spread a thick 6-inch blanket over your empty vegetable beds. Over the long winter months, this organic layer will slowly break down. It will protect the soil structure and feed the dormant soil microbes. When spring arrives, you will simply pull back any leftover mulch to reveal incredibly soft, dark, workable soil that is completely ready for planting without any backbreaking, tilling, or digging. Have you ever tried growing potatoes without digging trenches? This is where grass clippings really shine for the lazy homesteader. Instead of digging deep into the hard earth, simply place your seed potatoes right on the surface of the loose soil. Then, cover them completely with a thick 12-inch layer of dried grass clippings mixed with straw or autumn leaves. As the potato plants grow, they will easily push up through the light, fluffy organic matter. The best part is the harvest. Because the potatoes are growing inside the layer of decomposing grass rather than in the hard dirt, you do not need a pitchfork to harvest them. You simply pull away the grass with your bare hands, and the clean, perfect potatoes will be sitting right there waiting for you. It is gardening magic. Mistake number 7 is applying grass clippings too close to the stems of young, tender seedlings. When you transplant small, fragile vegetable seedlings into the garden, they need good air circulation around their delicate main stems to prevent a fungal disease called damping off. If you push grass clippings right up against the stem of a tiny pepper or cabbage plant, the moisture held by the grass will rot the young stem within a few days, and the plant will fall over and die. Always leave a clear ring of bare dirt about 2 inches wide around the base of every young plant. As the plant matures and the main stem becomes thicker and more woody, you can slowly bring the mulch closer, but never let it completely bury the base of the plant. It is also crucial to manage your expectations and understand the compound effect of using grass clippings over time. The first year you use dried grass as mulch, you will notice fewer weeds and less need to water. That alone is a massive victory. But the real miracle happens in year 2 and year 3. As the layers of grass continuously break down season after season, they fundamentally change the physical structure of your soil. If you started with heavy, unworkable clay, the organic matter from the grass will slowly break it apart, making it fluffy and drainable. If you started with loose, sandy soil that could not hold water, the broken down grass will act like a sponge, turning it into rich loam. You are not just feeding this year's tomatoes. You are building generational soil wealth. Finally, we must talk about the source of your grass. To be a truly successful lazy gardener, you want to create a closed-loop system on your property. This means avoiding the need to bring in outside materials. Your lawn produces exactly enough organic matter to feed your vegetable garden if managed correctly. However, never accept grass clippings from a neighbor or a landscaping company unless you absolutely trust them. You have no idea what chemicals, synthetic fertilizers, or aggressive weed seeds they might be hiding in those bags. Introducing contaminated grass onto your property can ruin years of careful organic soil building. Stick to your own mowed grass. Treat it with respect, dry it properly, and it will serve as the ultimate free resource for your self-sufficient homestead. So, there you have it, the ultimate truth about mowed grass. It is not trash. It is the most valuable, free resource you have on your property. By simply avoiding these fatal mistakes, like putting it down wet and thick, using chemically treated grass, or building mulch volcanoes around your trees, you can completely transform the way you garden. You have learned that drying your grass turns it into perfect mulch, that it blocks weeds, holds moisture, and invites an army of earthworms to till the soil for you. This one simple shift in habit will save you countless hours of backbreaking labor and reward you with harvests so heavy your neighbors will be begging for your secret. Remember, nature provides everything we need. We just have to be smart enough to use it correctly. Thank you so much for watching. If this video helped you rethink your weekend yard work, please hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and join our growing community of smart gardeners. Now, I have a question for you. Have you ever used grass clippings in your garden before? And did you make any of the mistakes we talked about today? Let me know your experiences down in the comments. I read every single one.